Welcome back to The Explainer. I am so thrilled to have you here today because honestly, we're looking at a week that is absolutely going down in the history books. We're unpacking the Tekin Game Weekly Retrospective from May 17th through the 24th, 2026. And man, we have seen some literal tectonic shifts in tech and gaming over the last few days. We're talking reality-bending financial records, the official end of the chatbot era, some incredibly costly corporate pivots, and of course, a look at some of the most anticipated entertainment releases of the decade. So let's jump right in. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to journey straight up the tech stack, starting at the very bedrock with the AI hardware revolution. From there, we'll move up into the software layer with Google's agentic AI shift, take a hard look at Meta's costly AI pivot, and finally top it all off with May's biggest gaming blockbusters. All right, part one, the AI hardware revolution, focusing on NVIDIA's record-breaking quarter. Okay, let's dive into this. $81.6 billion. I mean, just let that number sink in for a second. That is NVIDIA's revenue for just Q1 of 2027. To put that into perspective, it's up a staggering 85% year over year. The vast majority of this, we're talking over $75 billion of it, is driven entirely by their data center segment. You've got every major player out there, from Amazon to Microsoft to Google, locked in this absolute arms race to build out their infrastructure, and they are all doing it on NVIDIA's architecture. But the crazy thing is, the revenue is actually only half the story here. Listen to this quote from NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang, because it perfectly captures the fundamental paradigm shift we're living through right now. He basically points out that we are moving from a world of human users to a world of billions of AI agents. And to power that new reality, NVIDIA just announced the Vera CPU. This thing is purpose-built from the ground up for high-speed token processing, which is exactly what agentic AI requires. This one single chip opens up a brand new $200 billion total addressable market for the company. In fact, they've already sold $20 billion worth of these CPUs in 2026 alone. It's just wild. Now, what's really interesting about this is how NVIDIA is weaponizing that massive revenue to build an impenetrable moat. Look at this growth. Back in January of 2026, their startup investment portfolio sat at $22 billion. By April, just one single quarter later, it nearly doubled to $43 billion. They are aggressively taking equity stakes in the exact same startups that rely on their chips. It's a genius move, really. They're locking in future demand, cementing their ecosystem dominance, and basically ensuring that the entire future of AI is built squarely on their platform. Moving up the tech stack, we arrive at part two, Google's agentic AI shift, which really marked the end of the chatbot era at I/O 2026. So, to truly understand what Google just announced, we have to talk about agentic AI. Up until right about now, you asked an AI a question and it gave you an answer, right? It was purely reactive. Well, agentic AI is proactive. Think of it less like a search engine and more like a tireless digital employee. It can actually open and read your files, write software code, run tests, and execute these super complex workflows totally autonomously. It doesn't just talk to you, it actively does work for you. And to actually power this new digital workforce, Google dropped Gemini 3.5 Flash. Historically, you kind of had to choose, right? You could get a model that was really smart, or you could get one that was fast and cheap. Gemini 3.5 Flash completely shatters that rule. It processes a blistering 300 tokens per second, which is roughly 4 times faster than heavyweights like GPT-4 Turbo or Claude 3.5 Sonnet. And the pricing? It's just 15 cents per million tokens, compared to $10 for GPT-4 Turbo. That incredible combination of speed and disruptive pricing is exactly the bedrock you need to run agentic workflows at a massive scale. And this brilliantly illustrates the leap we're taking. On one side, you have your traditional chatbot, reactive software, that basically just sits in an isolated window waiting for you to type a command. But Google's new Gemini Spark flips that entirely on its head. For $100 a month, you're essentially renting a 24/7 autonomous agent that runs on dedicated cloud virtual machines. It integrates natively right into your Gmail, your calendar, your workspace. Literally, while you are sleeping, this thing is managing tasks, sorting through data, and building out a personalized daily brief for when you wake up. It's a complete shift in how we interact with software. Which brings us to part three, Meta's costly AI pivot, the harsh reality of the AI arms race. You can really feel the sheer urgency and honestly the panic over at Meta right now. The scale of their pivot is just staggering. In a single day, they laid off 8,000 employees globally to slash costs. That's about 10% of their entire workforce. But almost simultaneously, they grabbed 7,000 of their remaining workers and immediately reassigned them over to their artificial intelligence teams. Mark Zuckerberg explicitly told his staff that success in the AI era isn't a given, and a massive restructuring like this proves just how seriously they are taking that existential threat. So, the crucial point here is why Meta is making these incredibly painful, drastic moves. Well, the harsh reality is that their upcoming Llama 4 model actually underperformed against competitors like GPT-5 in their own internal benchmarks. So, to catch up, Meta is now committing an eye-watering $60 to $65 billion to AI infrastructure this year alone. They're redirecting every possible resource they have into developing Llama 5. Ultimately, this whole scramble is about defending their open source ecosystem advantage. They desperately need developers to keep building on Meta's foundation rather than getting locked into closed systems from Google or OpenAI. All right, part 4, May's biggest gaming blockbusters, the entertainment layer. Okay, take a breath. We have made it through all the heavy silicon and the intense corporate battles, so let's move on and see how this actually builds the entertainment layer the games are going to play on all this new hardware. May is shaping up to be an absolute gauntlet of a release schedule. We kick things off on May 12th with supermassive sci-fi space horror Directive 8020. Then, on the 19th, Xbox dropped Forza Horizon 6, which features the biggest map in series history set in Japan. The 22nd brought us pure, unadulterated nostalgia with LEGO Batman Legacy. On the 25th, the highly anticipated Sims competitor Paralives finally hit early access, and then on May 27th, we're getting 007 First Light, which looks like an incredible James Bond origin story from the legendary creators of Hitman. Now, with so many massive games dropping back-to-back, you definitely have to be smart with your budget. So here is your definitive buying guide based on the week's analysis. If you're looking for a cinematic, 20-plus hour stealth sandbox fan, 007 First Light is an absolute must-buy for sure. If you're on Xbox or PC, Forza Horizon 6 is another must-buy, simply because it's available day one on Game Pass, which is just unbeatable value. We are highly recommending Paralives if you're a Life Sim fan who wants to get in on the ground floor of early access, as well as Directive 8020 for a fantastic co-op horror night with friends. And hey, while Coffee Talk Tokyo is a wonderful, cozy visual novel at $15, it's totally safe to just hold off and wait for a sale on that one. We have covered a huge amount of ground today, right? From NVIDIA's $81 billion Silicon Bedrock to Google's new digital employees to Meta's frantic corporate pivot, all the way up to the games we actually play to unwind. Which brings me to a final thought I want to leave you with. As agentic AI systems like Gemini Spark start stepping in to automate our daily workflows and handle the heavy lifting of our 9-to-5s, we might just find ourselves with a whole lot more leisure time on our hands. So the real question is, which of these massive May blockbusters are you going to spend your newfound free time playing? Let that sink in for a bit. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.